This is Faith Encouraged with Father Barnabas Powell. Homilies designed to help you live a purposeful and faith-filled life in Jesus Christ. Here's Father Barnabas.
I've thought a lot about the homily today simply because I wanted to preach from both passages or several passages at once. It was just so rich and so full and so wonderful and so timely. But at the risk of dating myself, I want to tell you about a fad when I was a kid. Fads are popular. I don't know if you realize that or not. Perhaps you've been looking for little cartoon characters with your iPhone lately. I refuse to say the name of the app because I find it reprehensible. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. When I was a kid, we had something. Now, for those of you who don't know what in the world I'm talking about here, I'll explain it to you later. But when I was a kid, there was a cereal called Captain Crunch. It may even still exist today. And on certain Captain Crunch boxes, if you got the right box, you got a 45 LP, or you got a 45 record on the back that you had to cut out. It was a cardboard record that you could put on your 45 thing player. And that's where I got the very first album I ever had, the very first song I ever had from my little 45 record player was the Archies' Sugar Sugar. Still one of my favorite songs today. I refuse to sing it for you, though. We're in a proper place, so I will refrain. For those of you who have absolutely no idea what a 45 record is, picture an MP3 code on the back of your cereal box. That would help you a little bit, okay? Well, fads are popular, but they're only popular for a short period of time. Fads come and go. Styles of clothing come and go. Our political aspirations come and go. They wane and they change. And nowadays, I'm seriously considering, is there a way for us? I love a great meme I saw online that said, have you tried turning the United States off and turning it back on again to see if that helps? I thought that was great. And yet the reality is, the normal life of humanity is change. We have fads that come and go. We have styles that come and go. And yet, each of us longs for something of substance. Each of us longs for something that is stable and dependable and always there. It's the reason why the Apostle Paul and our Lord Jesus said what they said today in today's gospel lesson and in the epistle lesson. The epistle lesson begins, frankly, if everybody listened to St. Paul's message in the epistle lesson today, nobody would ever be on Facebook. It'd be gone. It'd just disappear. Foolish and quarrelsome controversies avoid. Well, there goes Facebook. Bye. Because it seems like that the whole thing is... In fact, I confess to you, there are times I do a lot of ministry through media, and I do a lot of stuff on Twitter, and I do a lot of stuff on Facebook. We post all of our devotionals and do all of our things there, and we get lots and lots of folks. I don't know if you realize this or not, but between 5,000 and 7,000 people a day read the devotionals that our community puts out, and that's pretty good. That's more than here this morning, so that's kind of nice. I like that, at least for now. But the point is that there is a lot of good that can come from these things, and yet it seems like quarrelsome bickering back and forth is the norm. And sometimes I just have to step away from it and just take a break. I just have to step away from it and take a break from it because I don't want to live in that feeling of constantly arguing and fighting and trying to defend. And the second I say something, somebody takes it wrong, and then all of a sudden they're down the road saying, "Oh, you're a bigot or a racist, or you're an ignorant fool." That last one is true, but the fact of the matter is, it's not fun to constantly be in that all the time. You need a break from it. Perpetual arguing and bickering is a symptom of spiritual illness. I want to say that again. Perpetual arguing and bickering is a symptom of spiritual illness. Always has been. In fact, the Apostle Paul says, mark those who are constantly bickering and fighting. Mark those who will not listen to reason and avoid them. I don't know about you guys, but there is a time when I get really tired of drama. Have you ever gotten tired of drama before? Not you ladies, you love it, you live for it. No, I'm just teasing. But drama is exhausting. And that's exactly what the enemy of our souls wants us to be. The enemy of our souls wants us to be exhausted so that we are susceptible to foolish choices made in the midst of a wearied heart and mind. Our defenses are down when we're tired. Our defenses are down when we're exhausted, when we're exasperated, when we're out of patience. Our defenses are down. And the enemy of our souls, what the fathers call the logos me, the fiery darts of bad thoughts, are fired into our minds by the evil one to constantly keep us turned over and distracted. And so because of that, we never find any stability in our lives. Well, the Apostle Paul says today, foolish and unlearned questions and controversies avoid. But then Jesus turns around and gives us the positive side of this when he tells each of us not. Now, folks, if you get this, you're going to get one of the most important lessons you've ever gotten as an Orthodox Christian. Jesus does not say, be the light of the world. Jesus does not command us, start being the light of the world. Jesus never says that. Jesus says, you are the light of the world. You already are the light of the world. If your light is hidden, if your light is obscured by foolishness, bad choices, if your light is obscured by faithless living, by a lack of attention to your faith, if your light is obscured by a lack of devotion to your faith, a lack of piety, a lack of practice of your faith, that only diminishes the truth that is already there. You are the light of the world. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. You are the light of the world. You've been chrismated. You are in the Orthodox Church. You are the light of the world. So, let your light shine. Jesus takes the positive side of what St. Paul is talking about us today, and he tells us to be who we are truly meant to be, and that is to be the light of the world, so that the world will see your good theology? No. So that the world will see your good thoughts? No. So that the world will see your good intentions? I meant to do it? No. So that the world will see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. You see, ladies and gentlemen, as long as our Orthodox Christianity remains in the realm of theory, it will always be a potential blessing to the world, but never an actual blessing of the world. As long as we're Orthodox simply by name and not in practice. And what do I mean by that? I had some folks always come to confession. They say, Father, how do I keep doing the same thing over and over again? I said, well, I don't know. I'll let you know when I find out. I said, just like I told you last week, there is no magic pill. There's no magic formula to spiritual faithfulness. There's no magic formula for spiritual success or really experiencing the joy that the Orthodox faith is meant to bring you. By the way, if your faith isn't producing joy in your life, you're not doing it right. Because it's meant to produce joy and peace in your life. That's what your faith is supposed to do. But it's not going to do it by lying dormant in potential. It is only going to be what it's meant to be for you as you practice it. And I told this one person who came to me, Father, what am I supposed to do? I said, well, let me ask you, do you pray every day? Well, no, Father, I don't. I said, what is your prayer rule? Well, I just, now and again. Some people pray like St. Peter. I only pray when I'm sinking. Don't do that. I mean, don't worry, it works, thank God. But I mean, still, if you're going to be consistent in your life, if you're going to be what you really are, the light of the world, it is going to be as you keep a faithful prayer rule. Do you have icons in your home? Do you stand in front of those icons at least twice a day? Do you? If you're not practicing the Orthodox faith. I would prefer you stand in front of your icons at least 9 times a day, but that's just me. I mean, we have the whole first, third, sixth, ninth hour and all of the other prayers of the church. I mean, that's just normal. if you want to do it, but at least twice a day, in the morning and the evening, stand in front of your icon, make your Stavros, say the Lord's Prayer. Practice the faith. That is how you take the bushel off the lamp so that the light gives light to the house. On Wednesdays and Fridays, don't eat meat and dairy. That's normal orthodoxy. Practice the Orthodox faith. Don't eat meat and dairy on Wednesdays and Fridays. That is not a suggestion. Don't eat meat and dairy on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you come to the Eucharist, do not have breakfast on Sunday morning. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. That is part of the preparation for you coming to the Eucharist on Sunday morning, that you fast. Don't eat on Sunday morning. I love a wonderful joke that a fellow told me the other day. He said, my son asked me, he said, Dad, what's it like to have Sunday morning breakfast? And he said, son, I don't know. I'm Orthodox. We don't do that. We don't have breakfast on Sunday morning. What? No breakfast? Come on, honey. We live in a planet that is just, it's amazing. We live in a planet that has simultaneously an obesity epidemic and a starvation epidemic at the same time. Scratch your head with that one for a while. If you're going to be the light of the world, if you're going to avoid foolish and unlearned questions, if you're going to avoid having instability in your life, practice the Orthodox faith. That means you're going to attend church on a regular basis. One fellow told me this past week, we're getting ready for an evangelism conference in Portland, Oregon in October. And he told me, he said, Father, I discovered how to keep churches open. I said, man, I'm interested. What is it? He said, have people go to church. If people go to church, the church will stay open. If they go to church. You see, brothers and sisters, while it feels very mundane to talk about these things, it is absolutely essential for us to understand that if I'm going to avoid the instability of foolish and unword questions and controversies, being caught up in millions of bickering and fighting all the time and controversies, that is caustic to a soul. And if I'm also going to be the light of the world, it is going to be as the world sees my good works and glorifies my Father which is in heaven. It is when my faith stops being theory that my faith shines the brightest. It is when my faith stops being on automatic pilot and becomes purposeful and proactive and active. That is when the faith is passed on to the next generation. That is when the faith is given full potency to the children that are watching our lives and coming up behind us. It is when I am orthodox on purpose and not simply by the happy accident of my birth, that I am practicing this faith, that I can go forward. Now, some of you may say, oh, but Father, what about my medication? What about all that? If you have those kinds of problems, come to me and get the direction of your spiritual father. Father is not a title. Come see me. I'll give you the discipline that you need to help you grow in your faith. Attend confession on a regular basis. You should go to confession on a regular basis. If you have not been to confession, I never will forget, I was doing a conference in another state, and this 92-year-old woman asked me, she approached me, she said, Father, would you hear my confession? I said, well, sure, I'd be happy to, dear. She said, well, it's the first time in my life I've ever done it. Talking about cramming for your final exam. But you should go to confession, folks. You should go to confession. How often should I go to confession? I love that question because the answer is always the same. Every time you need to. And if you don't ever feel like you need to, you really need to. So, practice the faith, my precious angels. If you practice the Orthodox faith by prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, regular confession, regular church attendance, if you practice the faith, you will avoid the instability of bickering and fighting, and you will be the light of your world. And the people around you will glorify your Father in heaven because they see your good works. That's what it means to have your faith leave the realm of theory and become actual in your life. That's what I mean when I say be orthodox on purpose.
Father Barnabas is the priest at the Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene Greek Orthodox Church in Cumming, Georgia. Find out more at faithencouraged.org. That's faithencouraged.org.